just a short one today, guys. So I had some questions yesterday in lab about really being able to visualize the pancreas. Guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, it takes a long time. Um, as an instructor, I have to be able to kind of discern whether or not you're a person who's eventually going to see it or not. I have had students in the past who never got the ultrasound vision. Um, and it's hard for me to, well, it's my job to recognize that, but it's hard for me to recognize that because you guys take beautiful pictures um, and then sometimes I get indications that you're not so sure what you're looking at. So what I've done is I pulled some easy and difficult images from the web, and I also have a clip and a couple of other things we could look at. I put some of those images on Sketchbook so I could draw on them. Well, all right, let me pause recording while I remember to actually hook up my sketchbook and everything. So hold on. Okay, we're back. I actually have sketchbook, or my sketch pad, I should say, hooked up. All right, so just starting on this one. So we have, hopefully we all can see this one. Now I did have someone describe an entirely different part of the epigastrium as the pancreas. I don't want that person or any of you to flip out like, oh my God, I've done that as a tech, as a technologist working in the field. I've made a similar mistake. You know what? I have to take my layers. Get my okay, get that out of the way. We got all this too much junk here. Let's use nice yellow color, and I'll use this guy to kind of follow along. Okay, so hopefully we could all see this. Let's start. You know what? No, let's start with the uncinate process. Perhaps I'll actually go with that, and I need to make this a little smaller. Okay, uncinate process. Let's try that again. So basically, this whole section is the uncinate process, and head, neck, if there's such a thing, body, and on this person, we're seeing quite a bit of the tail. Okay, so hopefully you can all see that. Let's just mention a couple of things. Of course, this is IVC and aorta. So what does that make this? An artery surrounded by echogenic material. I hope all of you are saying SMA. Oh, saying that. So that's the SMA. Confluence, right? We're seeing not all of, but most of the, which vein is this, guys? Do not wait for me to tell it to you. Answer it out loud. Splenic. All right. Now, this little creature here is interesting. That looks like a decent size. It's actually the same size as the splenic vein, but I believe this is splenic artery. The artery tends to be a little more tortuous. And that very well could be the artery. It should be the artery. There's no other vessels in that area that I would know of. Okay, so that was a fairly easy one. Oh, another easy one. So this person's got it. Awesome. Look at that. Uncinate process. The neck, body. What's going on? Looks like someone took a bite out of there. All the way down to the tail. Okay. So uncinate process. It's all down here. This person has a large uncinate. Some people don't. We measure the head. We measure it right there. And that's all I suggest you measure. But if you have to, you can measure body and tail. I'm sorry. I don't know how anyone really expects to measure the tail accurately because there's always shadow there. So if you're going to measure anything, I would just stick with the head. Okay, once again, IVC, aorta, SMA, splenic vein going, in that direction. So when you put your color on, this vein is most likely going to be red. And then as it comes around the corner, it will be blue over here. Okay, let's move on. It's a little bit harder here. Oh, no. Actually, I chose this one because it's hard for a different reason. Let's zoom in a little bit. So great, we have IVC, aorta, left lobe of liver. You will not always have liver directly over your pancreas, so don't use that as like it has to be there. It's actually really nice when it is there because it acts as a beautiful window. Like there's no stomach in the way on this particular person. SMA, confluence, splenic vein. But the question I sit there and look at, like, wait a minute, whoa, is that the head of the pancreas? If it is, there's something wrong with it. I took a closer look and no. So this is something, guys, this is easily a mistake. I know this person's got a little tiny, little tiny uncinate process, but look carefully, So do you see that this is actually, look at, now think about what we're looking at here. Left lobe of liver, there's an ecogenic line kind of going across here over the IVC. This has to be the caudate lobe. So, okay. You see this? This is very, I'm doing it again. Very subtle right there. But if we think about it, if we just stop and think, all right, left lobe of liver, ecogenic line over the IVC. This has got to be this caudate lobe over here. So on this person, that's just the way everything is set up. Let's see. By the way, I've just kind of noticed off the, this is somewhat triangular there. That does appear to be the ligamentum teres. Okay. Oh, and the tail on this person is really not visible. Oh, this picture shows just a technique, trying to visualize the pancreas here. Can you see it? Well, no one can because it's not really in the picture. But then they push their belly out. Pretend you're pregnant. Push the belly out. And now, okay, uncinate process, that I am sure of. Neck, body, tail, at least some of it, I am sure of. The rest of this is a bit of a guess. Do we say that? Well, it's possible. That's not too large of a head in this direction, from side to side. But then again, I'm not so sure. Like this that little echo in here, I don't know how to explain that, if it is the head. Oh, actually, this little circle, that's probably the GDA. Remember, so we have a GDA up here and not seen right now, maybe right about here. So G, GDA, C, B, D. A before B, A over B. Gastroduodenal artery up here, CBD down there. Not always easy to see, but is where they are. Once again, IBC. Looks like we have just a little bit not seen over here, but it's squeezing across in between the aorta and SMA. So the squeezing through here, going in that direction would be the renal vein, the left renal vein. That makes this over here, this has got to be a gallbladder. So, oh, and there's our little ligamentum teres. Okay, so that one, the head here, that's hard to truly identify. Although I can measure if you hold a gun to my head to measure this head, I would measure it right there. Okay. Moving right along. Okay, so here's a little technique we haven't done. They probably were dealing with a stomach with some gas in it, and they weren't getting good images, so they had the patient drink a bunch of water and probably lay on their right side. So gravity, if they're on the right side, gravity pulls water in that direction. Otherwise, a bunch of water down here, it doesn't do us any good. But if you lay them on their side and bring the water down through gravity, you now have water, some food material, wall of the stomach, and now we can outline on the same process, head, neck, body, shadow. No tail on this one. Okay, does that make sense? Confluence here, splenic vein here. You guys, I've told some of you, I don't think I've told all of you. Naming things isn't just an exercise. It really is important. And if you think about that, just to think about that in life, if you can't, let's say you're a bird watcher. Let's just say you love birds. So you want to go be a bird watcher. You go somewhere where there's 100 different species of bird. Think about how difficult it would be to talk about those birds. You could recognize them as different, but you can't name them. If you can't name them, you can't talk about them. Oh, great example. My wife's got the koi named. I know one of their names. And so that's the only one I could kind of describe. The others I could describe as a little bit in their coloration or something, but I can't really it's hard to hold a conversation. It's hard to really think about what. Just got a text from one of you guys. Yeah, so it's important. It's important to be able to, oh God, where's my screen share? To be able to talk about these things and name these things. And that's why we go over this. That's why I keep telling you guys, you have to remember what this vessel is. When I ask you, you have to know. Okay, here's just one picture. This person did my favorite thing, to look at the tail, and that we are way over on the patient's left side. We're looking, as long as we're tracing things, let's trace out the spleen. I would measure the spleen, by the way. Whoops, well, almost, but that's how I would measure the spleen. Actually, let's just Z, Control Z, working, okay. More or less how I measure that. I could add another measurement here. Spleen now. Nope. Isn't it just amazing how many times people are wrong? That includes me. I make mistakes too. That's not the splenic artery, that's the splenic vein. Anyway, this is the splenic vein here. And let me try to, the splenic vein, as we know, is posterior. To the pancreas. And so this is pancreatic tail here. Now, like I've told you guys, I think I've probably told all of you, this is so hard to see. And the only way you, first of all, this person's splenic vein happens to be well seen. This is stomach. Over here, filled with some fluid. This happens to be well seen, which really delineates this. But when we don't see this so well, this is really hard to see. The only way that you know it's there, because you know it has to be there. The splenic, pancreatic, did I say something? All right. The pancreas, the pancreatic tail goes to the hilum of the spleen. Okay, anyway. I think that was the last, yes, it's the last of those images. Those particular images. Now I have some sagittal images. Okay, well, this one's ridiculous. First of all, I don't know why. This is a very dark image. I wouldn't make it this dark. Head of pancreas. Well, let's first do left lobe of liver is way. This is an unusual patient, okay? Left lobe of liver. Very thin patient, probably very young. IBC obviously is coming up this way. And so the head of the pancreas is like, this is another reason why I would say this patient is young. Children do have, relatively speaking, larger pancreases than adults. So that's a big head of the pancreas there. Comes way out. Actually, normally we're looking at the head of the pancreas over the aorta too. So this one comes way out, farther to the patient's right than normal. That's an unusual. That's a here's something a little more common. Let's look at this. So this person's splenic vein is all the way up here, not really posterior to the pancreas? Well, it is posterior. It's also posterior, superior, superior, posterior. Anyway. So I think more often we see the splenic vein a little more under here, but that's fine. I mean, it's just a change. But so head of pancreas on this person. I'm really looking at this, making sure I'm not actually circling the stomach, and I'm not. But sometimes it can get a little confusing if the stomach happens to be filled with food that happens to look like a pancreas, but there's no stomach wall on this at all. Whereas over here, there's definitely a stomach wall or intestinal wall in any case. So this particular person, their stomach is inferior. So that's great. This person, you turn, this is a sagittal image, of course, but you turn transverse on this person and we're probably going to get a beautiful picture. This is going to be an easy scan. There's between left lobe of liver and pancreas, they are isoechoic, which tells me this is probably a younger person. As we grow older, this becomes more echogenic. And in fact, it can become so echogenic as to become isoechoic with the surrounding fat. That is a hard image to take because it blends in so well. Notice how the pancreas doesn't really have much of a defined wall. It's defined here simply because of the echogenicity difference, but it doesn't really have a fine wall. Okay, in any case, this tends to happen in the area of the mesenteric arteries, I should say. There's a celiac trunk, SMA, crust of diaphragm. I was questioning myself on another image on another lecture whether or not this could be, and that was definitely only the crust. Only the crust does this, comes all the way down like that. So at this point, if we were to turn transverse, we would see the seagull. This would be the middle of the seagull right at that point. And this person has a little artery coming off here. That would be the left gastric artery. Okay, let's move right along here. Yeah, so this one is tricky. This is a poorly done image, guys. By the way, TGC. We need to fix the TGC on this one. Way too dark up here. Good image down here, but too dark up here. So this person should have taken the time. This person has a very strange arrangement. Here's SMA here. And then celiac trunk, looks like it could be a little, this is very crazy celiac trunk. So it's almost too high. These structures on most people come down a little bit lower. So that's, I think, why we have that strange configuration of the celiac trunk. SMA looks normal, but the celiac trunk is weird on this person. But in any case, that's not what we're talking about. We are talking about pancreas, right? Now this person has an enormous vessel right here. That is huge. It's as big as the aorta. I don't know what's going on with this person. I'm gonna have to look that up. But with this size, perhaps question portal hypertension. Is it portal hypertension? So with hypertension, the liver, which is just a bad image of the liver. So, but with portal hypertension, the vessel diameter can increase because, well, it's trying to go into the liver, but it can't. And so the vessel diameter starts to get larger, and then eventually you start getting varices. Okay, so we still haven't defined where the pancreas is in this picture. Well, this is the confluence here. And then technically coming from this direction, what vessel, guys? Sagittal image, what vessel is it? No, hopefully you got it. Coming from this direction would be the superior mesenteric vein. Because this is S, that's SMA. Going in that direction, coming back would be the superior mesenteric vein going into, so on this person, they happen to be on top of each other. That's not always the case, but on this person, that's just the way it is. Okay, so does that mean we know where the head of the pancreas is? Yes. Or at least the neck of this person's pancreas is right here. If you came a little bit farther to this patient's right side, in other words, towards you, from the perspective of this picture towards you, this head would, or the confluence would kind of disappear, and the head would come all the way down there. Okay. Okay, well, this one's pointed out, so that's pretty easy. So head or neck, either one. Obviously, the neck is close to the head. Now let's figure out everything else we have here. Well, we all know that that's left lower liver, and this has got to be what? Stomach, right? We know that's SMA. We know this is the celiac trunk here. Between the SMA and the aorta. Well, this is so large that I would put Doppler on this just to make sure that it is, in fact, the left renal vein. Oh, this is actually really cool. So what's happening, obviously we don't have a beautiful aorta all the way through, and that's, you know, this person was probably getting an SMA image, and they were concentrating on the SMA, not on the aorta. So they're on the walls. What you're getting here is we have good aorta down here, and then we have all this fuzz. Well, it's because the beam is now lined up with the wall. It's a little bit oblique on the vessel, so rather than getting a beautiful vessel, we're getting wall down here. Well, there's a hole in the wall. What hole would be in the wall right here? I wonder. What hole would be right there? Dun, 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 dun. You know, artery. The renal artery is basically at the same level as the renal vein. Anyway, so that's the fact. Jack, and I gotta say, so I'm looking up here, trying to, I'm a little bit confused. So posterior to the pancreas at this level, we're not going to call this a confluence. It's obviously way too small to be the confluence, so we're going to call that the splenic vein. It's in circular, so that means it's coming, you know, it's obviously in the other plane, opposite plane of the SMA. We've seen the SMA in long, we're seeing that as cross section, so that should be splenic vein. It makes me think a little bit though about this vessel. Maybe we're catching it because the artery is never larger than the vein. So, but maybe, you know, if we're catching it obliquely, maybe it makes it look larger. Or we're catching a little bit of portal. I'm not 100% sure. I'm going to put a question mark on that one. It's too large to be the splenic artery, but it could be. Anyway, we're seeing the patient live. We'd be able to answer that question in about 3 seconds. Oh, okay. I guess I had forgotten. I had already got that one. All right, let me try, hopefully without screwing up, a new share. And what do I want to share? I want to share my other. Oh, yeah, it is a screen right here. Done. Okay. Share. Oh, okay, hopefully you are seeing my other screen. Now let's. Oh, this is actually where I got some of the images you've already seen. By the way, that's a nice picture of a GDA, common bile duct, A before B. That's not the one. Yes. So once again, Ultrasoundpedia. And they do a nice job of showing this pancreas. Did we do this just the other day? This picture? This seems awfully familiar, or I'm just getting confused from 45 minutes ago when I was looking at this. All right. Fatty infiltration of the pancreas with focal sparing of the uncinate process. I do think we talked about this, but worth looking at again. This pancreas is difficult to see. And the fact that the uncinate process is a different echogenicity, a different color, is confusing, but that can happen. The uncinate process is slightly different tissue. It came from a different bud. They grew together, and so it can actually look a little different, just like the caudate lobe of the liver is sometimes spared fatty infiltration or sometimes spared cirrhosis. The uncinate process here can also be spared. So that's kind of cool. Sagittal. Ooh, let's see. All right, I'm going to try to come up side. All right, you can't hide this one. Oh, right, same person. Once again, this uncinate process is a different echogenicity. So once again, what vessel? Sagittal view coming up into, we lose it right here and then we find it again. All right. Superior mesenteric vein comes up. It meets with the splenic vein coming from the opposite direction. Well, not the opposite, but coming from a 90-degree angle direction. Splenic veins coming up this way. Superior mesenteric vein comes this way. We don't see the connection just because of the plane of this image. And they come down to the confluence or the beginning of the main portal vein. Oh, okay, before water and after water. Oh, I think this might be the same images I already mouse over. Okay. No, not the same image, but before water, nothing. Nothing. There's nothing I could trace on that picture. Pancreas erect too. So what they actually did is they sat this person up, made them drink water. You could see before you couldn't see any liver, so maybe perhaps they're up slightly higher too, where the liver actually even came down a little bit. Water, and now we can see pancreas head, uncinate process down here. Oh, that little circle right there, that is the GDA. I don't see the common bile duct, but and then down. Okay. that one. And I want to show you this guy here. All right, so SMA, celiac trunk, right here, directly underneath the stomach. So on this person, left lobe of the liver comes to about here. The stomach is directly over or anterior to the pancreas. So this is pancreas here. This is an older patient. See these little echoes in here? That's the beginning of fatty infiltration. Anyway, directly posterior to the pancreas. Well, this is splenic vein. And just for a moment, you can see the, right there. Let's do it again. Right there. So the blue line hits about here. You see the superior mesenteric vein coming up and meeting. Anyway, I thought that was a pretty nice picture. I'll just show you this one. It's yeah, actually there's a little pancreatic tail right here. Do you see that kind of tissue right along here? It's not terribly well seen, but of course, what is this? It's in the same area as the pancreas. So oftentimes when we're looking at the pancreas, we find the seagull sign. So that must be aorta here. This is, by the way, we don't need this much depth here, but because your aorta is all the way up here, that is basically your back. So anyway, aorta here, IVC over here. This arm or this wing of the seat. What the hell would I just do? It's a seagull sign. Look what shows up. Mine. Anyway, this arm is going to the liver. It is the hepatic artery proper. This arm, tortuous, it's making its way down to, I think that structure right there is part of this person's spleen. So that's splenic artery coming off that direction. Ooh, and this was I wasn't going to take this one. Let's just think about it, what we're looking at here. Okay, left lobe of liver up here, IVC aorta, all right? Now they're moving down, and you see the IVC, it's got a whoop, right there. As we're coming down, we find the splenic, left renal vein, right there. Right. Left renal vein. Okay, so let's go to the aorta. We have the right there, SMA right here. Oh, now there's just a little bit of the seagull. Let me look at that seagull here. So this seagull is deformed. Its wings do not come off at the same point. As we're coming down, we first see the splenic artery come off right there, and then the hepatic artery comes off after. So it's just a normal variant, no big deal. What else can we see? We need to see, well, pancreas. Well, we're not really. No, we're not really seeing much of the pancreas here. This little this little section right here, we'll look at this. We know that this is left lobe liver. There's a little line right here. That is the fissure for the ligamentum venosum right here. That makes this caudate lobe right there. And what's this? Let's watch this vessel kind of form, and it's coming across. We don't quite see. That's actually the main portal wing over here. You can see it's going up to the little man, right there. That's little man. Oh, little man. And you can, that's a difficult image. I wish I could slow. Oh, 1x. I didn't know I could do that. So just quickly again, there's that one arm and one wing, and then finally the second wing. So they have a deformed seagull. Deformed seagull, that's too bad. What else can we see from these images? Use that vein. Oh, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Now that I know I can slow these down, maybe transverse of approximately what okay. Well, perhaps that is enough for now. The whirlpool sign on that one. Whirlpool sign on this one too. Blood flow should not be going around me. Yeah, that's a aorta. SMA is to the patient's right of the SMB. That's not good. Anyway, okay, I'm just wasting time now. So let's stop share. And I hope that was helpful. Let's see, 9 o'clock. Okay, I've got currently 365 questions for the abdomen final. Don't worry, it's not going to be 365. I got to remove a bunch of them. Let me do that right now, and maybe yeah, if I do that now, I can start getting a little more review for the tests in this morning as well. So, all right, Dios.